Hello and welcome to our webinar, Take Action and Start Your Journey to Infor XA Release 10, hosted by Barry Waymiller Design Group. I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of their busy day to attend this webinar. It's hopeful at the conclusion you will have a much better understanding of what is involved with the upgrade process and see many of the enhancements in Infor XA Release 10. Microphones will be muted for the duration of this presentation. If you have any questions, please use the text box found on your screen. At the conclusion of the webinar, we will attempt to answer as many of these questions as time permits. Design Group offers engineering, IT consulting, and technical services. True to our heritage, Design Group is focused on manufacturing. Our 1,500 professionals across 45 plus offices worldwide bring extensive industry experience to every project. Our client list ranges from some of the best known industrial manufacturers, life science, food and beverage, high tech, and consumer product brands in the world. Design Group is a certified Infor business partner focused on a variety of enterprise manufacturing solutions, including ERP, warehouse management systems, CPQ, and enterprise asset management. My name is Denny Hyde. I am the Manager of Enterprise Technology Consulting at Design Group, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Our presenters today are Donna Wolf, Sriram, Buddy Bates, and Thiakarash. Our agenda for today will cover the following topics: XA 10 overview and upgrade requirements. We'll show you some of the NetLink enhancements and do a demo. Then we are going to get a first-hand account of a company's upgrade experience. We will go over some of the architecture enhancements, and we will wrap it up with a question and answer session. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Thiakarash, who will discuss Release 10 upgrade requirements.
Let's look at some of the key highlights with Release 10. You now have full PowerLink capability with additional functions and features. What this means is it minimizes the gap between the PowerLink and NetLink user interface and functions to a great extent. You have improved navigation with homepage, favorites, and a lot more. We are going to see that in the later part of the demo today. You now have the ability to export list data directly to Excel spreadsheets and ODS file formats. The user definition features within the NetLink have been enhanced now to track maintenance history, where used, and last used data. With Infor OS and System-wide Workspace Anywhere installed and configured, you can have access to multiple Infor XA products and environments, and with drill back to source data and transactions. With adoption to the Infor user experience, you now get away more and more with the use of your green screen and PowerLink interface. Not just that, as you plan your upgrade to Release 10, your move to Infor Cloud in the near future is seamless, with you being on latest release levels and preparedness with global environment and low upgrade costs. You can now extend and integrate your Infor XA product with other Infor products and solutions, be it Infor CRM, Supplier Exchange, WMS using the Infor OS and ION middleware. You are on a full supported release, now preparing you for the next move with next generation financials, Release 11, and much more. Let us take a few minutes to look at the upgrade requirements and preparedness as you plan your move to Release 10. I will talk through some key highlights with all the details that I've captured on the slide deck. Please note your global and business environments must be previously updated to use Amazon Corotto Java platform before Release 10 can be applied. On the server side, your XA environment must be at release XA 9.2.2.2 and PDF level 25330 or higher before you plan your upgrade to Release 10. Infor now has a XA Release 10 Service Pack SH16231 that is available on the Software Download Center. You will use that to upgrade your environment to Release 10. On the client side, please make a note of the global and business Corotto environment levels you need to be to plan your update to Release 10. You will download and apply SH16248 that will update your business environment to the base Release 10 client level. To stay current on Release 10 enhancements, you will download and apply SH16214. Now, the happy news is that you can upgrade your business environment to Release 10 without any updates or impact to your global environment. As you can see, depending on your current XA release and PDF levels, the upgrade path to release 10 needs to be mapped and detailed out. There's a lot of planning to do. Design group will be glad to assist you with this as you plan your move to release 10. Before I hand off to the next session, captured updates on a couple of follow-up releases that will be of interest. You have a full install version of release 10 that's planned for delivery soon. This will primarily help clients who are at older releases to do a brand new install of release 10 and migrate from older releases. You have a service pack 10.0.1.0 coming up by the end of the year that carries a lot of enhancements with enterprise financials, add-on IDF objects, and much more enhancements and features. Over to you, Denny.
Thank you, Thagaraj. We'll be hearing from you a little later in this session, as well as being a member of our panelists to answer questions at the end. At this point, I'm going to ask Sriram to highlight some of the Netlink enhancements, as well as give us a demo of Release 10. Sriram, please.
Thank you, Denny. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this portion of the XA R10 Netlink enhancements. Infor has now made Netlink on par with the PowerLink. They've added certain features that narrow down the gap with PowerLink and some more features that are exclusive only to Netlink. In the effort to bridge the gap between the Netlink and the PowerLink, the Netlink now has these options enabled. You can now switch between the available list of views, subsets, and sorts. The grid settings included as part of the earlier Netlink version has now been retained. Netlink now allows you to cascade subsets. That is, you can create subsets within the subsets. All the view, subset, card definitions now have the tooltip enabled. You scroll over these and the tooltip shows you the definitions. You can now resize the columns, rearrange them, and reset back to default when you don't need them. The columns. You can now view the column statistics, work on the headings, and do a temporary subset using the subset criteria, just like what you do today in the PowerLink. The sort indicators have also been turned on. The customized menu is now available and allows you to create a new or modify an existing view, subset, card, or card file. You can create all the card types that are available, like application, attribute, overview, related, etc. You can define or modify the workspace, templates, and presentation schemes. The preferences can now be set at the object as well as at the global level. Mass actions like mass change, mass release have all got enabled in the relevant objects. The MO normal close wizard is available in the Netlink. Also, the flag to turn on, turn off the revisions in PO, and the flag to perform an end order in the customer order object is now enabled in Netlink. Now, the most exciting part of the Netlink enhancements. We have quite a few Netlink only features. You will not even see them in the PowerLink. You can now choose between 3 different views from the list window. There's the traditional list window and the new additions, the graph and the split views. In a few moments from now, we'll have a demo of all these new features. You can now freeze the first few columns just like what you have in a spreadsheet. And this could be of particularly great help while you are viewing a table that has a lot of columns. While defining the subsets, you will notice that there are symbols alongside the words describing the operators. You can now perform more ad hoc filtering using the all-new filter row option. Another new feature, the mass change template, allows you to have predefined templates that can be used over and over multiple times while you are doing your mass changes. The much awaited and the most sought after features now in Netlink. You now have the maintenance history, the where and last use details for all your user definitions. It could be your view, subset, card, or the card file. Next, you can now directly download the data as a spreadsheet. The download comes out in a .ods format, and that is supported by most of your spreadsheet applications, be it Excel or Google Docs. Let us now see all these features in our demo. I'm into the Netlink URL. I am logging in to the Infor XA using the URL. This is the home page, like the main browser in your PowerLink, with all the application cards. For our demo today, I will use the item revisions object to go through the features. That's the item revisions list window, very much like the PowerLink, with all the options and the buttons to perform your day-to-day activity. We can now select and change a view from the list. You can also select and change the subset. I will select the site as the subset, populate a site, and now we have the subset list. Alternatively, we can use the grid settings to change the view, subset, and sort. I will now use the cascade option to do a subset within a subset. Let me select the purchased items subset. We now have the appended or cascaded subset, all your purchase items within the BWO site. The columns now have the right-click option, and we can work on the column headings, perform a temporary subset using the subset criteria, and also see the column statistics. That's a column statistics for you. The columns can also be rearranged, like here and there. You can move the columns from one position, drag them to other position. And also you can resize the columns to change the presentation width. And when not required, the grid settings allows you to set them back to the default layout. Click on reset to default and everything is back to the default layout. In the grid settings, we now have the option to include a filter row. The filter row brings up a set of boxes and operators right below the column headings. We can now perform ad hoc filtering of the data by populating one or more of these boxes. Just filter by EA for the stocking unit of measure. And this ad hoc filtered data can be used for any of your post processes, be it mass changes or even export. You will notice the filter row option is also available within the user definitions. For example, let us see the view definition window. You can use the filter row option here in the definition window to select the required view that you want to work with. We'll look for a view named general. Type that. There it is. Note that the filter row option is available everywhere, even within the definition window where we select from a list of available attributes. Tables like this one have a lot of columns. Normally, scrolling to the right and left, we tend to lose the context with the key fields. The solution for this is the freeze columns option now in the netlink. The view can be customized to freeze the first few columns. Let me select a view and edit. I'm going to insert a freeze attribute after the first 4 columns, right after revision. Save it and apply the view. We will now see that the columns till the revision get frozen. That's the thin gray line that shows the frozen view. And the scroll bar at the right allows you to scroll through the data, and we can view much more information without losing the context. There's a gear icon on the top right corner. That's the change view icon. I do a right click to show you the 3 options: list, graph, and split. You can now choose any one of them and change the view. You could also just click on the gear and toggle between the traditional list, the graph, and the split view. The graph is not yet there. I will bring it up in a moment. This split view functions just like your workbench in the PowerLink. You will see the relevant information on the split view as we go about selecting the records in the list window. As I select a record, you will see the information in the split view. You can also choose the split view content from the list of cards available for every object. I will select the item warehouse here for a demo. And as we go about selecting the list window records, you will notice the relevant item warehouse information being brought up on the split view. Switch back to the list window, use the gear icon, and toggle back to the split view. So by default, you notice that the split pane positions itself after the third column in your list window. You can customize the same. We get into the view, edit mode, and let us insert the split pane right after the effective to date attribute. Now you will notice that the split pane being inserted after the effective due date. There it is. Right after the effective due date, now you have the split pane. And you can see more fields on the list window. We can customize our workspace just like in the PowerLink. For that, we get into the workspace, choose my workspace from the list, and getting into the edit mode. Here, we will not only see the initial view, initial subset, but also the new split view and its contents. We can select the initial view to be a list, graph, or a split. Also set the initial content for the split view. Next, we'll set the graph card that will appear in the view. The workspace title appears on the browser tab. We'll now save the workspace and apply the workspace. You could probably include the workspace as your initial workspace in the preferences as well. The workspace now has this defined view, the subset, all the schema applied. And clicking on the gear icon now will toggle between the traditional list window and the graph. There it is. So we have a unit cost graph over here for the subset items. And clicking on the gear again will take you to the split view. You can select the records and view the relevant content again in the split view. You can toggle multiple times, as many times as you want, between these list, graph, and the split views. Right, back to the list window again. The maintain option now has the mass change, mass delete, indented copy, and mass release options enabled. The mass change option has the new netlink only feature, the mass change template. Let us push these effective due dates by 30 days in the future. For that, we get into the mass change option. Go to maintain, mass change. And that's the template that I was talking about. You can now predefine a template and use it. I have this template to push the effective due date by 30 days into the future. As I select the template, you will notice the description getting populated. The selected attribute gets picked up along with the change content. And that's the value I would like to change for this attribute. I'd like to push by 30 days the current effective due date. Always ensure you have the right subset selected before you apply the mass change. I'll now update and confirm this mass change. I will refresh this list so that we can see the dates getting pushed by 30 days into the future. There they are. The dates have been now pushed into the future. Right. The purchase orders object also has the mass options enabled. You have mass force close, mass change comments, and mass delete options. Likewise, the MRP recommendations object has the mass accept, mass create orders, mass change, mass firm, mass cancel, mass reset, and mass process options enabled. We'll now get into the MO object. Let me select a record in the MO and then do a maintain to show you the normal close wizard. There it is. There is the MO close wizard enabled now in the netlink. The wizard, just like in PowerLink, will direct the user to a set of screens and finally to the normal close option. I won't do a normal close now. Let me cancel this. Get back to the purchase orders and edit the purchase order. Right at the bottom left corner, now we have the revision flag to turn on or turn off while you make changes to the purchase orders. Likewise, the customer orders edit window, we do have a perform end order flag again at the bottom left corner. This can be turned on or turned off while creating or modifying your customer orders. With that, I will now turn it over back to Denny.
Excellent. Thank you, Shriram. Shriram has been one of our technical experts through much of the beta testing, helping not only our beta testers, but assisting Infor in being able to identify and resolve preferences, pre-release issues. Release 10 allows us to do some exciting new things with XA, and here to discuss a few of these enhancements is Buddy Bates. Buddy is a senior systems analyst with Design Group. Buddy, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Denny. Hello, I'll be discussing preferences, user definition tracking, exporting, Infor OS, SIWA, which stands for System My Workspace Anywhere. I'll discuss types of preferences that are available, the new user definition modification tracking. I'm going to demo the export feature, show the next generation user interface and Infor experience that's available along with Netlink Context App. Application preferences are available in PowerLink only from the main browser under Customized Preferences option with all the various choices on 4 different tabs. The Release 10 equivalent is called Global Preferences, and it's available from all business objects under Customized Global Preferences, now more user-friendly with all the choices on one slide or one screen instead of multiple tabs. Object user-specific preferences have many of the same features across objects, but some choices are specific to individual object and process. For instance, customer has specific information for customer, ledger, automatically creating entity. Other options like initial card file, card, and templates are the same. There is, however, a new section called Mingle Context App Cards to specify what information to display in the primary, secondary, and tertiary cards. List options are the same as PowerLink. I did want to point out that PowerLink has a specific preference, which is broadcast, that's used for workbenches that are available only in PowerLink. The next generation Infor user experience will be shown via Infor OS, which is technology that drives business by putting the user at the center. In addition, an add-on feature, System My Workspace Anywhere, can be used to provide a UI for launching applications in the web browser. We're going to go ahead and jump over into the demo at this point. I'm going to log into Netlink using Google Chrome as my web browser. You'll notice that when I log in, the application card engineering has been highlighted because that's my application preference initial card. Let's go change that to customer service inside of global preferences. Now you'll see that the preference change The customer service application card will be chosen after we make the change. I'm going to go ahead and open the customer object to look at the object user-specific preferences. You can see the global preferences are available, as I mentioned before, within each object. Notice default values are public preference, which means the system administrators or Infor has set these values. They don't do your job, however, so you know what will work best in your situation. I'm going to go ahead and make some changes to the list options by setting the initial view to test. And then I'm going to make the control open action customer orders. I'm also going to make some additional changes that I'll talk more about later in the demo, and you'll see them in action. I'm going to be changing the initial card to customer order and order history. And in the new Mingle Context app cards, I'm going to change the primary to ship tos. The secondary to customer orders and order history. And tertiary, I'm going to change that as well to order graph. I'm going to save these changes by clicking continue. Now I'm going to show that the default open action will open the customer details. And because of our initial card preference change, customer order history or orders in history is selected. Because that's the change we made. I'll click on the general tab, which is the normal default. I'm going to go back and I'm going to hold down the control key and double click to show this action now opens customer orders for this customer. These open preferences allow us 3 different functions to take place on opening a record. This feature was already available, but I know lots of folks overlook it. I'm going to go back and we'll talk about a new feature I'm excited about, which is the definition tracking. Our systems get so convoluted with all these views and subsets and things like that. And I know if you're like me, you've wondered, are these used? Where are they used? Or wait a minute, who changed this? Infor has now given us all this capability. I'll open the views and I'm going to choose the general view. I'm going to click the pencil for maintenance of the view. And now you can see maintenance history, where used, and last used. I'll open one of the changes in compare mode so you can see what's been changed. The compare shows the base versus the variant to easily identify the modifications. As you can see here, lots of changes have been made in this particular change. Where's this being used? Enterprise item, the general compound card. We now can also tell if and when the user definition was used and by what client, either NetLink or PowerLink. All very nice options to help declutter our systems and see what's being used and who's modifying our definitions. To demonstrate this next enhancement that folks are really excited about, which is changes to the exporting data, I'm going to show this new feature by going into procurement and opening purchase orders. I had previously made a user preference change to narrow the records by creating and setting Buddy Demo Export as the default subset. Export is done in the same way. Click File, choose Export, and see the options. I'm going to show the old text file option first. So it's downloading now. I'm going to go ahead and open that. File open on another screen, so I'm going to drag it over. You can see the old file text looks the same. In the past, to get the file to Excel, you had to export to a .csv file or copy to a clipboard and paste. Not anymore. Now we can export directly to Excel spreadsheet or a .ods open document spreadsheet file. This opens up and looks just like the list view with GIFs and all. You can see all the data in columns nicely in the Excel export. Another very nice new feature. I'm going to exit from Excel and I'm going to close out of the purchase orders object. Now I'm going to shift gears into the next generation Infor user experience. I'm going to log into Infor OS, the enterprise portal. And I've already set up a homepage to demonstrate some of these amazing capabilities. As you can see, it's not your father's green screen anymore. Extremely customizable based upon your job and what you need to see with dashboards, bookmarks, different applications, all being pulled into one screen. You can create multiple home pages based upon job description, etc. In this case, customer service. Show different information that's relevant to that function, such as shipping, dashboard, accounts receivable graph, bookmarks, specific web pages, and menus. I'll switch back to the first home page that I had created. All of these tiles or sections are what's called widgets. The first one is a widget that's pulling in sales dashboard from Infor Burst, business intelligence and analytics application. In addition, I'm pulling in a XA graph to show the customer invoice amount. We have a widget displaying the mingle post. Another bookmark widgets. I pulled in some workflow widgets showing my task list, workflow viewer, and notification list. We go click on the task list. And you can see that the viewer has been populated. The green means that it's been completed. The blue is the current step that it's on. And then click on the task list to have the work step open up. I'll go and it shows what can be assigned, approved, or rejected. I've also included the web page, which could be a customer or vendors, etc. This can be launched directly from the widget. I've also included the Infor document management, IDM widget, to help manage all your documents. I've been working on a XA EAM integration for a client, and so I've attached the integration guide as a document that can be opened and viewed directly from my homepage, which makes it much easier to find and keep track of documents. I'll show you how the bookmark works by opening up the Ion Desk status viewer. And that's going to show us all the data flows, connections, and the events, workflows, and basically all the overall Ion activities in the system. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use the keypad up the up left corner. Some refer to it as a hamburger app switcher at the top to switch over to the Infor XA application, which will open in the add-on feature SIWA System I Workspace Anywhere. When SIWA opens, you get a little notepad to keep track of information. In the My Task section, you can drill down the menu system like you would in Microsoft applications like Outlook. I'm going to keep drilling down to customer service and customers and orders. On the left, I have my favorites broken down into folder categories, which make it easier to do my job. I'll create a new folder to show how easy it is to drag an option onto the new folder by placing customer items in that folder. Other System I functions like my jobs, messages, and spool file are available from here as well in this browser application. I'm going to open the spool file and show how easy it is to open. And it could be saved or printed from right here inside of this new function. The next cool feature is the task search, which would allow you to search through the system for, let's say, customer. A list of all the IDF level 1 and 2 options will be displayed in the list and could be launched from the results list window. I'm going to go back to my favorite section and choose customers from the list. And then it'll open the release 10 version of NetLink customers object. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the split screen function that Sherm talked about, which will open my user preferences of customer orders and order history in the split screen. And up at the top, the option for end context app function. So I'll open that as well. I'm going to choose my Domino's pizza customer by scrolling down and clicking on it. All the context apps will be populated based upon the mingle context preferences we had chosen earlier: ship tos, orders, the order graph, and I've included an IDM app, so this Domino's picture is attached to the XA customer. To attach a document to an XA record, just minimize, grab the JPEG, drag it over to the context window, then click upload, and the document will be attached. To show more of these features, I can now click on an open order, and the context screen populates based upon that section showing the line items, pricing, information, and ship to address. When I click on order history record, my context apps will show customer purchase order information, order shipments, etc. I'm going to go back and choose a different customer just to show that all the context cards switch back to customer options again for the newly chosen customer. This concludes my portion. I hope you found it informative. And now back to you, Denny.
Thank you, buddy. This really is exciting stuff. Not available in future releases, but it's actually available today and being used today. As I mentioned, Design Group had the opportunity with a few of our clients to be beta testers of Release 10. I would like to now introduce Tom Ferrucci from Natco Home. Natco Home was selected by Infor to participate in the program. Natco has been using Mapex XA for over 25 years. As well as XA, they also use Infor OS and WMS. Interviewing Tom will be Donna Wolf. Donna is a senior application consultant with Design Group. Donna, Tom, please tell us a little bit about Natco and your beta testing experiences.
All right. Thank you, Denny, and hello, everyone. I want to thank Tom for taking time to share his experiences with us during this webinar, and I have a few questions to ask. So let's get started. Tom, can you tell us a little bit about Natco Home Products?
Sure. Thank you for the opportunity as well, Donna. But Natco Home is a manufacturer and distributor of home decor items, primarily rugs and other floor coverings. We also do things such as pillows. We are headquartered here in West Warwick, Rhode Island. We're running at about 5 sites, primarily a couple of large ones and a few smaller ones. We are supporting 230 users on the platform currently. As Denny indicated, we've been using this platform for about 25 years, so it's quite a long period that we've had it, quite extensive use as well. And the other products that we're using, again, as Denny mentioned, besides XA, Infor OS, and we're using SCE for our warehouse management platform.
That's quite an impressive lineup of XA products and also Natco products. So can you tell us what were some of your reasons for wanting to become part of the beta program for Release 10?
Sure. I think one of the things we found to be attractive to us to take a look at on a beta test was the web interface, right? We know, many systems have either, moved to that platform or are going to that platform. And, obviously, with the NetLink interface, we think that is something that the users could, adapt to a little easier, could be a bit more intuitive as many users are used to those types of systems. It would help with user adoption so that we ensure that the users are using the systems that we want them to use. And I think the other thing that we found attractive was the opportunity to review newer functions, some of the navigation, some of the short cuts that became available to us. I think PO Revisions has some nice features there, but we also thought it may be an opportunity to revisit things that may have already been available in PowerLink, but we weren't using fully, or maybe using on a limited basis. And it was an opportunity for us to take a look at that as well, because, you know, as time goes on and we see newer, you know, users being onboarded with the system, they may want to try some different functions that hadn't been fully adopted in the past. So I think it could help in both regards.
Can you share your experience moving to and testing release 10?
Yes. So we had a small core group of users that were testing out the Netlink interface. And I think one of the things that they found was that the current version of the Netlink interface was improved from prior versions. You know, I think it's the effort and the development that's gone into that platform is readily apparent as we've seen, you know, like I said, comparing it to prior releases of the Netlink. You know, using compound objects seemed to work pretty well. I think it behaved as expected, so that's a positive, right? That's what we want to see. I think some of the things like the new filter row is a very nice feature that could get used quite heavily by our end users. I think it's more intuitive for the users versus the subset criteria, although many of them are used to that. I think, you know, it's just another less frictional way to get the data filtered in a way that you would like it. Freezing columns, I think, is also really useful as well. You know, the users are very familiar with tools like Excel, where you can use those types of functions and features to kind of separate your data and you know, make sure that you're looking at what you want to be looking at. Split pane also offers a nice visual as well. And I think one of the things that we were maybe concerned about at the beginning was performance in the PowerLink versus Netlink, but we found it to be similar, right? I don't think there were any concerns there either. I think we were happy with the way it performed. As I think Buddy had mentioned, exporting to Excel with the ODS format is better, right? You could always export previously in PowerLink with the CSV format, but I think it's definitely improved. You know, when you're exporting with that format, you can continue exporting in the background as well, working on another object. So definitely some of the things that we saw with the beta test experience.
All right, sounds great. Did you have any customizations or modifications to your Release 9.2 environment that needed to be part of the upgrade to Release 10, and how did that go?
Yeah, we did. We have a strong development team here at Natco, so that's great for us. And we do have some customizations in a variety of areas, you know, container management systems, the way we do some weekly forecasting, some physical inventory, among others. And you know, those came along for the ride, you know, and it didn't seem to have any issues with the customizations that we brought along from 9.2 into Release 10. So that's definitely something when retrofitting customizations can always be a concern for us, but there were no showstoppers or red flags. It was part and parcel of the process.
Great. Can you share some feedback from the user community?
Yeah, I think the biggest feedback we got are that the improvements in Netlink. I think from what they may have seen in previous iterations on the Netlink platform to what it is today, definitely significant differences and improvements, you know, to make it almost comparable to what we'd be looking at in PowerLink. So I think the group that did the testing there was happy to see that it's, you know, much improved over previous versions and on par, and obviously some new features that even push it beyond what we've seen.
Great. So last but not least, do you feel that the objectives of you being a beta tester were met?
I do, yeah. I mean, we were glad to participate in the beta opportunity for all the reasons we said. Obviously, it takes a little bit of resources and time and commitment away from the team that's working on a bunch of things, but it's always good to you know, see what's coming at us and try to evaluate it. Maybe if we saw something that we thought could be changed, we'd have a little impact there, but we were definitely glad to participate in this opportunity. Yes.
Great. Thank you, Tom, for taking time to answer our questions and giving us your experiences with being a beta tester. And at that point now, I'm going to turn it back to Denny.
Thank you, Donna and Tom. I'm now going to bring back Thiagaraj, who will discuss a few of the architecture enhancements in Release 10. Thiagaraj, if you'd be so kind, sir.
Thank you, Denny. And hello and welcome to this part of the presentation. We have handpicked a few architectural and integrator type enhancements we would like to walk you through. Please note that these are available at XA release 9.2 and later and will be available with the upgrade to release 10 as well. The first enhancement we are going to look at is with using the host process settings object. Now, many of us can relate to issues with users triggering a mass volume of host print, for example, on a PO print, right? That would generate huge pile of spool data and clog the system. And we would reach out to our IT team and admin to, work on releasing the queues and the messages. And we all have been through that, right? Some of us have custom written routines to solve this problem, or we would create a subset criteria and make sure that subset criteria is applied on the host job to prevent this issue. Now you can use out-of-the-box enhancement to avoid this problem. Let's look at steps to take to accomplish this. You start off with the environment application card. You click on the host process settings business object. This will provide you a list of host jobs and host reports in the environment. You can select the host job or host report you want to set the limit for. In this example, as you notice, we have selected the purchase order host report. On the Generals tab, you can now set the limit of records you want to process for the selected host report. You can also set the type of message as warning or an error. At runtime, you can see you get a warning message that process limit of 16 records has been exceeded for the host process. It's as simple as that. The next enhancement is with integrator to support integration with external change management system. Again, many of us have worked on large projects that involve several developers, right? And the developers are very keen to know that, the changes that occur on the integrator business object, like if some other developer has checked out a business object, or is regenerating or recompiling user exits, is applying the changes and saving those, so the developers are curious to know what those changes are and want to be notified. This announcement allows you to accomplish that. In addition to that, you can also notify your system admin or even an external change management system that would like to keep track of these events. As you can see, a new event tab has been added to the user enterprise with now new attributes to allow switching on and off of each event. In this example, as you notice, we have the save to host and changes on the integrator object events turned on. On the environment application card, we have a new business object integrator event. If you click on that, it will display details of all the events that occur on the integrator object. In this example, you can see details captured for the events being tracked with changing the business object and saving to host. Details include event type, date, time of occurrence, and user who triggered the event along with the object name. The next step is to create a subscription notification on the integrator event object. This is similar to creating a subscription on any other business object, like a purchase order, where you want to notify if the purchase order value has exceeded a certain limit. It's the same process. This notification subset can be set to use all records to notify all events that occur on the business object. The next step is you set notification type as email, and you will add recipient details. The recipients could be a distribution list or a predefined list that you want to notify. You define the body of the email message. You can formulate the message to add details of the objects changed. You can also set notification type to be a system link request, and you can expose that to external systems that can write some custom routines to track and initiate integrator events. At runtime, this is a snapshot of the message that goes out to the recipient. You can also see a list of subscriptions that have been created on the integrator events business object. Moving on, the next enhancement we are going to see is related to integrator translation. It is now possible to translate business object text for objects not owned by Infor and Infor objects where the Infor supply text have been modified. Now, this will be very beneficial if you are having a multilingual environment and developers across the globe. You can now translate business objects name, banner message, attribute description, attribute heading, and relationship description, and several more. You can see that the integrator application card you have a new tab for translation. All translation objects are included on the translation application card. As a first step, you click on the enterprise translation object. This displays all the languages supported in your IDF environment. From here on, the user can translate text and approve translations and start the translation process. There are several actions you can perform from here. The start action button creates a translation data for all of the modified integrated business objects. The approve action updates the translation status to approved on all of the translation records for the selected language. Your active action turns on the translation feature at runtime for the selected language. As you notice, you can also use the export import feature to copy translated text between environments. So here is an example of the business object translation that has been activated and is available on your PowerLink interface. As you can see at runtime, the banner message, the object's name and title message are all now maintainable in translated language, in this example, French. The final enhancement we are going to look at is when you usually check out an object for modification, the object is locked. This functionality allows you to unlock the business object without saving the changes by either clicking the unlock action or by canceling the pending changes. Now, usually when this scenario occurred in the past, we will need to get in touch with and work with the user to save and release the business object. To accomplish this, the user attribute has been added to the cancel pending changes task window. As a first step, you have a warning message that is displayed asking if you want to remove user's pending changes. After you have confirmed the warning message, you are now prompted to back up the user's pending changes before canceling the changes. This concludes this part of the presentation. Back to you, Denny.
Thank you, Thiagaraj. We're running short on time. I want to take a couple questions that have come in, and I'm going to ask our panelists to be as brief as possible. I think what we will be doing is we'll publish these questions, and everybody that's registered for the webinar will get a copy of the questions and the answers. Panelists, first question, most asked, will NetLink replace PowerLink? Who would like to take that question?
It's a very good question, Denny. No, the PowerLink will continue to stay. But please make a note that most of the future enhancements with the user interface and user experience is being planned to roll out with NetLink.
Thank you. And Thiagaraj, stay on for this one, please, because it's right on the heels. What about developer tools?
That's a great question. Again, most developer tools like Integrator remain in PowerLink and not accessible via NetLink and SIWA for development activities. But understand all changes made to the Integrator objects and that are published will get reflected in PowerLink and NetLink user interface.
And I'm going to take the last question, the most difficult. How much does it cost? This upgrade is included in your annual license fee. So there is no charge for the actual software product. There are some things that need to be considered, though. We need to look at release levels to make sure that you can get onto this release. We also need to make sure that you're on Corretto Java and also look at any customizations and how they fit into that. So this concludes today's webinar. If we did not get to the question, as I mentioned, we will publish all of these and make sure that everybody gets a copy. This session was recorded. We will email the recording link to all registrants, and we will be posting this on the Barry Waymiller Web Design Group YouTube channel and also on our website. If you get a chance, please do visit our website. I'd like to thank our presenters and panelists for making this an informative webinar, and thanks to our audience for participating in today's session. We hope you found today's event valuable and you will return for future Infor Barry Waymiller Design Group hosted webinars. Thank you, everybody. This concludes our webinar.